All right, friends. Hello again, Christian here. In this video, I want to go through exactly the important points you need to know. One of the emails that I get most frequently, almost every day, I would say, somebody's writing to me asking me about hiatal hernia. And I shot this video before. I think I did not as good a job as I could have, making clear a couple of very important points about hiatal hernia and why it's so common. Why, if you have acid reflux, are you actually likely to end up with a complication or a corresponding diagnosis from your doctor of something like hiatal hernia? There are other complications that are really common, but hiatal hernia is right at the top of the list. Why? Why is that? First of all, what is a hiatal hernia? Hiatal hernia is when you have a muscle that cuts across, if you can see on the camera here, cuts across your abdomen. It's at the top of the abdomen and at the bottom of your thoracic cavity. Your thoracic cavity is the upper portion of your chest, where your lungs and your heart are located. And you have a muscle at the bottom of that called the diaphragm muscle. It's a transverse muscle, so it comes across your body like this. And then below that is your intestines and your liver and your stomach, spleen, and all the rest. And so the stomach pushes up through the diaphragm. It pushes and it bulges. The herniation is that it bulges out and opens. Your esophagus connects to the stomach, and then the stomach is below the diaphragm, but when the stomach is pushing upward, it pushes open and it stretches open the hole in the diaphragm through which the food tube passes, and you end up with a herniation. This is hiatal hernia. It's very uncomfortable. It causes all kinds of hellish symptoms, right? And most of them are actually associated with and are complications of regular general garden variety acid reflux. Why? Why does this happen? First of all, the short answer is the main mechanism that's giving rise to acid reflux is very often the exact thing that will cause hiatal hernia. What am I talking about? If you've studied the pivot protocol at all, or if you've even read some of the just free material and other videos that I put out, you know that the main cause, if you get right down to it, the sine qua non, right, of acid reflux is that you have food stagnating in your intestines. Now, I give you all the reasons inside the pivot protocol. I explain to you why this happens, what it has to do with your stress response, your fight or flight mechanism, all of the various things that happen to your spleen, your intestines, your condition called dampness that is almost always present in real-life people with acid reflux, how your liver is affected when you develop something like acid reflux, and how it contributes to this buildup of stagnant food in your intestines. When all of this is happening, and again, I'm not gonna give you the fuller explanation of it here. I go into that in the pivot protocol, or in your member material here. But understand that the basic imbalance, the basic problem that everybody with acid reflux has to have on some level, to some degree, at some point, is that food is stuck and not moving. And because of that, you get acid and bile that it has nowhere else to go. It doesn't want to descend. It's stuck. There's something blocking the digestive tract, which is food and waste, right, in your intestines. And you get this regurgitation, this reflux, this ascending of acid and bile, which results in acid reflux. But that food stagnation, that blockage inside your intestines, in your digestive tract, the overfullness of your liver that tends to happen when you have digestive imbalance, when your pivot mechanism is all clogged up and not functioning properly, for all of the reasons that I go into in this program, which you really do need to understand. When that's present, it puts pressure upward on your stomach. How could it not, right? You have an accumulation below the stomach in the small and large intestines, and as that grows, as you get more and more accumulation, and then, right, you add dampness and mucus and all kinds of things to that, it pushes upward, and so that your stomach is actually, you increase, every time you eat, you're increasing the pressure. And very often, too, with hiatal hernia, one of the things that you notice, and one of the things that actually indicates that you may have a hiatal hernia, you can't bloody breathe, right? You feel like there's something pushing upward on your heart and lungs, and you can't take a deep breath right? You're always sort of, you have that high chest breathing, and you can't, the diaphragm muscle won't come down so that you can take that deep belly breath. It's a, right, like a deep sighing kind of action. In fact, one of the signs and symptoms of problems like this is that you'll try, your body wants to take a deep breath and let it out, right? Constant chronic sighing, right? Right, to try to get that pressure off your diaphragm so that you actually feel like you've taken a deep breath, okay? So in other words, the reason why hiatal hernia is so common in conjunction and such a common complication to something like acid reflux is because it's the same root mechanism that's causing your acid reflux. When you have a hiatal hernia, you have something obstructing below your stomach that's causing pressure upward. And the worse this accumulation of food stagnation and dampness gets in your intestines, the more it puts pressure upward on the diaphragm muscle, causing difficulty breathing, difficulty taking a deep breath, but also the hole in your diaphragm itself where the esophagus passes through and connects to the stomach starts to bulge, and the stomach pushes up through that. Okay, and in cases where it's bad enough, right, your doctor will very quickly and very likely recommend surgery. You don't always have to have surgery. In fact, very few people end up needing surgery for this. Why? Why do I say that? Now, look, as I always make a point, right, I'm not taking the place of your doctor. Your job is to be responsible. This is not personalized medical advice, so be responsible for yourself. But understand, if you take away the thing that's causing the pressure, your hiatal hernia, by and large, will heal on its own. And this only makes sense. There's very few people who won't get some level of healing, usually enough to avoid surgery, if you take away the thing that's causing the upward pressure. The hernia will close on its own, and your stomach will slip back into its normal position. The other good news about that is once you do that, you're also obviously getting rid of your acid reflux. It's the same mechanism. It's the same root core imbalance that's causing both hiatal hernia and acid reflux. It's the obstruction below your stomach that's putting pressure upward because your stomach is full of your stomach and intestines get full of stagnant food and dampness and other things that we talk about inside the pivot protocol. Okay, so hopefully that makes it clear. If you have a diagnosis of hiatal hernia, for God's sake, don't rush to surgery. It's a major problem when they cut your abdomen open. Obviously, there's no such thing as a minor surgery, right? All surgery involves major risk. And especially today in 2020, do you really want to be in a medical center? Do you really want to go to a hospital, right, with all the germs floating around and all the rest? It's a great place to get really sick. But you don't want to get your abdomen cut open. You don't want them stitching your stomach and fixing your abdomen and put a wire mesh in to keep the esophagus itself. This is LES surgery, weak LES, a weak lower esophageal sphincter is partly indicated also in cases like hiatal hernia. All of those things go together. When the stomach's pushing up, it puts pressure on the valve that connects your esophagus to your stomach as well. So there's all kinds of nasty things that you can end up being talked into by your doctor, and I'm here to tell you, you don't need to rush to do this. If you can fix it yourself by applying something like the pivot protocol, that's the best option. And for most people, it's a completely viable option. So for that reason, if you haven't started with the pivot protocol and you're watching this video, then by all means, I hope you do choose to get started. This is a real solution to a very serious common digestive problem. And if you can fix your digestive system and get it working right, most of these complications will go away on their own. Okay, thanks very much.